Obviously, what didn't play nearly as well in the first half as in the second half. I'm stating the obvious. Although, emotion sometimes is a interesting thing because I felt live, you don't want to get behind like we did. And then when I watched it afterwards, it wasn't quite as bad as what I thought. I thought they played really well. I thought we made fewer mistakes than I originally thought in the first half. You always say the film doesn't lie. I thought we just, there at the end of the half, there was 8 at the under, right around the under 4, and then they were able to distance themselves. We had just a couple plays we needed to make there, and then they made a couple shots, tough twos, some of them off balance. I thought Garner in particular really made some difficult shots, so give them credit. And, we can be better for sure, and I thought we were better in the second half. Obviously, they missed some. That helped. But I thought our defensive disposition was a little bit better. I thought we took care of the ball well enough. We rebounded it well enough throughout the 40 minutes. And so we can certainly build on that. I thought that offensively, obviously, it helps when some shots are going in. J. Cole got rolling a little bit in the second half. Some of those shots were some shots, quite honestly, that we had some in the first half that were maybe even better than the ones he made in the second half. He made some really difficult ones. I thought we had some easy ones in the first half, whether it was in the post, whether it was on the three-point line where there was no one there and we didn't make enough of them on that end of the floor. Second half, we made them, and certainly that helped, in the comeback effort. And then once it got to 3, it became anybody's game at that point. And we had some things we talked about yesterday that we felt like we could clean up a little bit. But, all in all, they made some plays. I thought, Garner's 3, when we cut it to 5 to take it to 62-54 was a big shot because we had a lot of momentum at that point. And give him credit. I mean, it was off the dribble, off of a ball screen that we defended well, and he just buried it. I thought it was a big shot. I thought he played really, really well for them and was a big difference in the game. So those are kind of my thoughts, watching it. Obviously, we've, addressed yesterday, and we will a little bit today. We're mostly on to Wisconsin right now, what we needed to clean up, like we always do, no different than any other game. In terms of Wisconsin, obviously, great challenge. Watching them play, I think defensively, they make you earn everything. They make very few mistakes. They're very disciplined at that end, and you can tell those guys are not only older, they have played a lot of games together. They're very connected, both defensively and offensively. I thought, the game against Rutgers over the weekend was indicative of that. They never panicked. They showed great poise. Even when they were behind 3 possessions with a minute to go, they just kind of kept playing and figured it out. Good teams can do that. Offensively, obviously, they've got multiple weapons. They can hurt you inside, as all the Wisconsin teams have been able to do. And then they've got great shooting outside, and then they've got a great playmaker in Koenig, whether it's end of clock or late halves or late games, that really makes plays for them. So, it'll be a great challenge. The great thing about our schedule is you're playing every 2 to 3 days. So, you don't have time to digest win or loss. You got to move on to the next one and get prepared to play. And that's what we've done over yesterday, and we'll do today as well. Questions? Early, yeah. Didn't have a shot in that one. Yeah, just didn't. Obviously, I like what I'm seeing now. He's a terrific player. He's continued to get better every year. Very, very physical. Finishes with either hand. I think he's a really, really, I shouldn't say underrated post defender, because in our league, I can tell you everyone respects the heck out of him. And when you start to prepare for him and you play against them, you realize that he and defensively brings a lot to their team, Jeremy, just as much as offensively. And then obviously the glass. I mean, I think he's a very, very well-rounded player. Certainly one of the better players in our league. There are a lot of similarities, Jim, as you could imagine. There are a couple things, here and there, maybe, X and O-wise that you'll notice. But for the most part, they give you that same feel.
Second half was obviously better at Penn State, but is there something you're seeing where it maybe takes getting, kind of get down that much where it starts something on this team?
Not necessarily. They're all different, Scott, as I've said before. I wanted to do that after the game, as I mentioned earlier, the analogy of emotion, because I think sometimes you can get caught up in that deal where, I played for a coach one time. The answer was always, try harder. Well, do you want me to do it again? Christmas vacation, washing machines, like that helps, but you got to execute too. And I thought after the game that our execution was, I'm going to be honest, I thought it was poor. I didn't think it was very good in the first half. And then I watched the film and I realized, it was about 8 or 9 minutes into the game and we'd had like 2 or 3 mistakes, which is pretty good. And they had made some plays. And so sometimes then in the second half, I thought we played better. The numbers show that, but they did miss 3 layups around the rim that they probably normally make. Just the numbers don't take into account whether it's a missed layup and executed properly or not, or you might execute something like the ball screen perfectly and Shep Garner just raises up and buries it. So for me, it's more about controlling what we can control. And, do I think we were better in the second half? Yes. Do I think as big a reason as why we were behind the way we were at halftime? Could we say that's all us? And we certainly could say that. We got some things we could do better. But after watching it, I felt like that they made some plays. So I think it was kind of a 50-50 deal. I don't know if it was so much as, we didn't have composure or didn't have pull. I didn't feel that way at all watching it. I thought there were a couple loose balls they beat us to, Scott, that I was disappointed in that last 4 minutes. A couple key turnovers in those last 4 minutes that took it from 8 to 20 there. But we did some decent things. I thought our biggest thing that we didn't do in the first half was make shots. Layups, wide open threes. I thought our execution was pretty good. We got the ball inside. I want to say it was 11 post touches between our 2 bigs, and a lot of them were early in the game. Boom, 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 boom. We just got them right. Some of them we didn't deliver on quite the ratio we normally do. And then, when you make a few mistakes, they're playing the way they're playing. You're not making shots, and you get it going coming out of both ends that way. In this league, as we've seen from other games and other teams as well, especially when you're playing away from home, it can go south on you pretty quickly. At the same time, I told those guys I am proud of the way they competed and battled in the second half, but, that's secondary to me. We got to figure out how to play better and try to impact even within how well they played and a relatively low number of mistakes in the first half. We've got to find a way to impact the game more. You can't give up 45, and we've got to control everything that we can, and I think there were some things that we could do a little bit better.
You talk about consistency. I think every coach does.
Sure.
That's what you're all looking for. Is it possible that this team you're going to play now is kind of the most consistent team in the league?
You could certainly make that case, can you, Tup? I mean, I agree with that. I think they've, continued to do what they do for a long time. And what I said earlier, you're talking about right now with this particular team, a group of guys that not only have juniors and seniors tagged beside their name, they've actually been playing together for that long. And that's a huge deal. If they continue to start the same lineup, it's up to them. Those guys have logged a lot of minutes together, and and you can tell in that, and I think that connection, Tup, certainly allows them to be even more consistent.
John, you got animated on the sidelines with the players at one point. Do you feel like this team needs that right now?
That's a feel thing. I think some guys, yeah, at some moments, yes. The timeout I called where I met him at half court, I just thought we didn't keep playing on that possession. We needed to rotate one more time, and we didn't rotate. And I just wanted to let them know that that's unacceptable.
What does this game mean
Yeah, I mean, for us, obviously, it's the next one. You know, it's important because it's the next one in front of us. I've always told them with league games that I've been in a long time, and none of them have been able to count double or triple, or when you lose, count double or triple. They're all the same, you know, in that regard in the standings. So for us, it's the next game in front of us. It's a league game. You know, it's game number 10. You know, we have a great practice today, and I'm more worried about controlling what we can control because some of the other stuff you can't worry about that. You can drive yourself crazy. We needed a big stop the other day, and Tony Carr drove off right to left, which he typically goes the other way, jumped off his right foot, shot it with his left hand off the glass, and it goes in. And our defense was good on that possession. And I'm like, darn it, man. Couldn't control that. Heck of a shot. Give him his due. You know, it just is what it is. I think as a coach, one of the tempting things is to fall into making a decision or decisions based on emotion when we try the very best we can, although certainly not perfect at it myself, of trying to be as objective as we can. And the reality of it is we've got to prepare today, have a great workout today, and be ready to go tomorrow for Wisconsin.
You mentioned JCL kind of catching fire in the second half.
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, was it just a confidence thing with him?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's shooting a pretty high percentage, you know, even, you know, last 5 games from the three-point line, you know, which haven't been his best. He's still shooting 36 from 3 or something like that. I mean, you know, he's 40-some during a lot of stretches. So all of us have a lot of confidence in him shooting the ball, and we want him as long as he's taking good ones. And the other night, you know, obviously he got going, and he made a couple pull-up jump shots that were hard shots, and he made them. They were big shots for us as we, you know, worked hard to come back in the game and got it to a one-possession game there with about 3 minutes to go and 1:20, 1:25. So, you know, he was a big part of that. Obviously, when he makes shots, it's great for our team, makes us a different team.
Coach, what maybe did you not like about the late game execution? I know you had a stretch where JCL had a 3, I think 158, and then got shot off until around 9 seconds left.
Yeah, I thought we turned it over. You know, we made a bad decision and lost the ball there when we're in transition. You know, Malcolm's coming downhill. We got good spacing during the game, and on the clip and on the video, they're scrambling a little bit. And give Reeves credit. You know, I thought that he fouled Malcolm when he took the ball, but, you know, watching it on the tape, to be honest with you, it looked clean, and he just made a good play and took the ball. You know, then, you know, obviously with 15 seconds to go, you know, we've got to be smarter there and make a better decision in terms of when you foul, when you don't foul, you know. So we've talked a lot about those things a lot yesterday and when we got back from the game. Just a couple things, you know, here and there like that towards the end.